Hi, I'm Patricia Allingham Carlson, and this is a step-by-step video of my painting Fairy Girl. In this painting I'm using watercolor and I'm using ink to do some drawing as well. I hope that you'll enjoy it and give it a like. Now let's paint. This is an art piece called Fairy Girl. A kind friend of mine had shared a family picture of a member of her family with me, and the picture was so charming I right away asked if I could paint it. She gave me her permission, and now I'm using this photograph as an inspiration. I start with a simple drawing with pencil. When the pencil's done, I squirted the paper down with water, and I came right in with watercolor. When I start a face in this manner, I generally will outline the features first with a slightly darker color. That color then sinks into the paper and allows me to paint around it, preserving those features in a darker tone. This particular subject had the most lovely colored hair. It was white. It was platinum blonde, it was sort of pink, and it had some purples in it. Part of what made it look so magical and made me want to paint it. So I'm coming in to paint the loose waves with my paintbrush, painting a lot of white areas. I'm actually doing a lot of drawing with my brush. In the top of the picture, there were some beautiful roses. So I'm drawing out the centers and the basic shapes of them with my brush. Same at the bottom. I'm bringing the features in with some pinks to correspond with the hair coloring. And the shading is being done in a pinkish purple. Outlining the flowers at the top and bottom of the picture. And bringing in some greens. Some pretty colors for her clothing as well. This is a very loose painting. At this point, I am working mainly in color, and I am thinking I will tighten it up with ink and pen as a drawing after it's dry. There's some dark colored clothing as well, and I'm painting sort of carefully around the bright pastel colors, so the darks don't all run together into the lighter colors. In some cases, the lighter colors have semi-dried, so they're not flowing right into each other quickly. I'm also painting around the shape of her hair, which we would call negative painting, because I'm painting around space in a negative positive manner. To keep her hair light, I have to paint around it with the darker color. Now I'm adding some little flourishes here and there, some curls, some leaves, some more flowers, and even some splatters. My next thing I wanted to try was to try my ink pens and make sure they were not going to run if they got wet with water. So I found a pen that did not look like it was going to run. I didn't want smeary ink for this particular painting. And I began to outline and draw the forms of this design in with my pen. But I did know I was going to be doing more watercolor painting, which is why I did not want the ink to run. I think a lot of artists feel that drawing takes a lot less control than painting does. So when you apply a drawing over a painting, it really becomes considerably more relaxing and easy to just enjoy the drawing process, sketching around the beautiful bright colors of watercolor. I don't treat the watercolor in an exact manner either. I allow it to be loose. I make a larger line or a smaller line than what the color is showing me on the page. A subject's face in this kind of artwork is very important. You don't want to mess up where the facial features go. Once the ink is down, and it's not coming up again. So I do take my time on the face. As I develop the subject more and more with the drawing, the whole thing begins to look much more completed. And now I can come back and fill in the paint that needed to be filled in, which was mainly the darker colors, and some more work on the flowers. In watercolor, again, you can see that darker colors give definition to light colors. So the dark color of her shirt makes her hair appear to be full and in a three-dimensional aspect. It outlines it and defines it, even though it's just basically white paper. I'm going back into the flowers and detailing them by making the centers darker and showing some individual petals on the roses. A little more darkness and definition on the features. And some shading on the neck. Now I'm working on outlining the leaves and adding some little squiggles and vine formations to them. Bringing out the eyes a little bit more with some darker lines. And working on the upper hair. After working on a very intensive, tedious painting for several weeks, this one was just a pleasure. The colors were pretty, the subject was beautiful, and I just had a playful and fun approach to it with the ink and with the watercolor. So I did have a lot of fun painting this one, and I hope that comes through. With this kind of work, it's really the artist's choice as to how much detail she wants to add or he wants to add. And I just added detail with the line until I felt like it looked like it was done. At this point, I'm coming back and adding a little shading with some watercolor paint. Do a little accent work. And I'm trying to make some of the brighter colors and the more pastel colors stand out. I noted there was a lot of very pale coloring in the very top of the painting. Excuse me. So I came back in and made some of the colors more vivid. If it was all pale on top and dark on the bottom, it might not have tied together as well as a composition, but in this case I think I succeeded in pulling it together. So I did end up going back and making another entire layer of color on top of the dark clothing that she was wearing, because when it dried it was too pale. And now I'm going back to finish up the rest of the outlining so I can complete this little painting. And it finishes up. Sweet and simple fairy girl. Fanciful little touches here and there. Just use your imagination and have fun. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I painted Fairy Girl. I really enjoyed creating it since the subject was so very lovely. You'll see some links below to click on if you liked my video. If you'd like to subscribe, you can also ring the bell to make sure you don't miss any future videos coming up. Also some links below for the products I use. And you can find a link to my Facebook art page as well as my own art products. Any comments you ever enjoy making, I will enjoy reading. I'll see you next video.